Morning all, today we are going to see the play of Shakespeare, The Comedy of Errors. The overview of The Comedy of Errors tells the story of Aegeon, Emilia, and two sets of twins, Antipholus and Romeo, who all find themselves in the city of Ephesus, a series of mix-ups, confusions, and mistaken fellows. In this play, for Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3, we have 2 scenes. And then in Act 4, we have 4 scenes. And in Act 5, we have 1 scene. So overall, we have 11 scenes in this play. Characters in the play: Aegeon, a merchant from Syracuse; Solonius, a duke of Ephesus; Antipholus of Syracuse, a traveler in search of his mother and his brother; and Dromio of Syracuse, Antipholus of Syracuse servant; first merchant, a citizen of Ephesus; and Antipholus of Ephesus, a citizen of Ephesus. There is a Dromio of Ephesus, Antipholus of Ephesus servant; Andriana, Antipholus of Ephesus wife; Luciana, Andriana's sister; Luce, also called as Null, and she is the kitchen maid betrothed to Dromio of Ephesus; and Messenger is a servant of Andriana to Ephesus and Andriana. Angelo, an Ephesian goldsmith; second merchant, a citizen of Ephesus to whom Angelo owes money; Balthasar, an Ephesian merchant invited to dinner by Antipholus of Ephesus; courtesan, hostess of Antipholus of Ephesus at dinner; Sir Dr. Pinch, a schoolmaster engaged as an exorcist; officer, also called jailer, an Ephesian law officer; Lady Abbess, also called as Emilia, head of the priory in Ephesus; attendants, servants to this benchman, and officers. The Comedy of Errors, Act 1, Scene 1. Enters Solymus, the Duke of Ephesus, with Aegeon, the merchant of Syracuse, jailer, and other attendants. Aegeon: proceed, Solonius, to procure my fall, and by the dome of death and woes and all. Duke: merchant of Syracusa, plead no more. I am not partial to infringe our laws. The enmity and discord which of late sprung from the rancorous outrage of your duke to merchants, our well-dealing countrymen, who wanting guilders to redeem their poor lives, have sealed these rigorous statutes with his bloods, excludes all pity from our treading looks, for seeing the mortal and intestine jaws twist the insidious countrymen and us, in hath in solemn synods been disagreed, both by the Cycladians and ourselves, to admit no traffic to our advert towns. Nay more, if any born at Ephesus be seen at Syracusan marts and fairs, again if any Syracusan born come to the bay of Exclusius, he dies, his goods confiscate to the duke's dispose, unless 1,000 marks be levied, to quit the penalty and to ransom him. Thy substance valued at the highest rate cannot amount unto the 100 marks. Therefore by law thou art condemned to die. Aegeon: yet this my comfort, when your words are done, my woes end likewise with the evening sun. Duke: well, Cyprian, say in brief the cause why thou departed from thy native home, from what cause thou come to Ephesus. Aegeon: a heavier task could not have been imposed than I to speak my griefs unspeakable. Yet, that the world may witness that my end was wrought by nature, not by vile offence, I will utter what my sorrow give me leave. In Syracusa was I born, and wed unto a woman happy but for me, and by me, and had our hap been bad. With her I lived in joy. Our wealth increased by prosperous voyages I often made to Epidenium, till my father's death, factor's death, and the great care of goods at random left, drew me from kind embracement of my spouse, from whom my absence was not 6 months old before herself. almost at fainting under the pleasing punishment that woman bare, had made provision for her, following me, and soon and safe arrived where I was. There had she not been long, she had become a joyful mother of two goodly sons, and which was strange, the one was like the other, as could not be distinguished by any names. That very hour in the self-same inn, a mean woman was delivered of such a burden, male twins, both alike. Those for their parents were exceeding poor, I bought and brought up to attend my sons. My wife, not meanly proud of two such boys, made daily motions for a home return. Unwilling, I agreed. Alas, too soon we came abroad. A league from Epidamnum had we sailed before the always wind obeying deep gave any tragic instance of a harm. But longer did we not retain much hope, for what obscured light the heavens did grant, did but convey unto our fearful minds a doubtful warrant of immediate death, which though myself would gladly have embraced, yet the insistent weeping of my wife, weeping before what she saw just come, and piteous playing of the pretty babies that mourn for fashion ignorant what to fear, forced me to seek delays for them and me. And this it was, for other ways, often ways was none. The sailors sought for safety by our boat and left the ship then sinking. My wife, more careful for the later born, had fastened him unto the small spare mast, such as seafaring men provide for storms. To him one of the twin born was bound, whilst I had seen like headed of the other the children thus disposed my wife and I, fixing our eyes on whom our care was fixed, fastened ourselves at either end the mast and floating straight, obedient to the stream, was carried towards Corinth as we thought. At length the sun, gazing upon the earth, dispersed whose vapours that offered us, and by the benefit of the wished light, and the seas waxed calm, and we discovered two ships from afar, making arm unto us, of Corinth dead, of Epidius thus. But ever they come, oh, let me say no more, gather the sequel by that want before. Duke, nay, forward, old man, do not break off so, and we may pity though not pardon thee. Aegeon, oh, had the gods done so, I had not now what thee termed merciless to us, and ever the ships could meet by twice 5 leagues. We were encountered by the mighty rock, which being violently borne upon, and our helpful ship was splitted in the midst, so that in the unjust divers of us, fortunate had left to both of us alike, what to delight in, what to sorrow for. Her part, poor soul, seeming as burdened with lesser weight, but not with lesser woe, was carried with more speed before the wind, and in our sight they three were taken up by fishermen of Corinth, as we thought. At length another ship had seized on us, and knowing whom it was they had to save, gave hateful welcome to their shipwrecked guest, and would have reft the fishes of their prey, and not bark been very slow of sail, and therefore homeward did they bend their course. And have you heard me served from my bliss, and that my misfortunes was my life prolonged, and to tell bad stories of my own mischief? Duke, and for the sake of them those arrests for, do me the favour to dilute at full, and what have befallen of them and thee till now. Aegeon, my youngest boy, and yet my eldest care, at 18 years become inexquisite, after his brother, and importune me, And this attendant saw his cause was like reft of his brother, but retained his name, might bear him company in the quest of him. Whom whilst I laboured of a love to see, I hardened the loss of whom I loved. 5 summers I have spent in farthest Greece, roaming clean through the bounds of Asia, and casting homeward came to Ephesus, home to hopeless to find, yet loath to live unsought, or that of any place that harbours men. But here must end the story of my life, unhappy where I am my timely death. Could all my travels warrant me they live? Duke, hapless Aegean, whom the fates have marked to bear the extremity of dire mishap, now trust me, were it not against our laws, against my crown, my oath, my dignity, which princes would they may not dissemble. My soul should sue us its advocate for thee, but though thou art disadjust to the death, and past sentence may not be recalled, but our honour's great disparagement, yet will I favour thee in what I can. Therefore, merchant, I will limit thee this day to seek thy life by beneficial help. Try all the friends thou hast in Ephesus, beg thou or borrow to make up the sum. And live if no, thou art doomed to die. Jailer, take him to thy custody. Jailer, I will, my lord. Aegean, hopeless and helpless that Aegean went, but to prosecute his lifeless end. They exist. The scene 2. Enter Antipholus of Syracuse first, merchant, and Romeo of Syracuse.